question when you were answering our questions. Because we want you to have the best writing as possible. And with that, we gotta do revisions. So, can you let me down for me? Our objective for today, Joseph, can you read the objective for me, please?
Students will be able to revise.
Yep, revise.
Students will be able to revise their
Thesis.
and topic information better address what is happening and ask them to analyze.
Yep. So what we are doing today is we're going to be looking at our thesis statement, which is also called our assertion. We're going to be looking at that, revising it, and then our topic sentences, which is our claim for each of our body paragraphs. We're going to be redoing that as well. And then, all right, moving on. So our focus writing task, what we've been working on this whole time, we're going to review that. So Julie, I need you to read our focus writing task question.
How does the seven shapes restaurant character and the house on Main Street? Write an essay presenting two essays that
So take 2 weeks.
restaurant real several details from the technical support.
So the same question we have been working on this whole time. One thing that I've noticed is most of you are gotten pretty good at identifying what the setting is. So you're telling me what's happening with her setting, but where we're struggling is talking about the part where it actually shapes Esperanza's character. So we know what's happening around her, but we're still struggling to talk about how that's shaping her character. So we're gonna look at that a little bit more. We're gonna look at our reference in a minute, coming back to that. So, our criteria for success. Kaylee, read the first bullet point for me.
Wait, are we not?
Yep.
These sentences that identify two areas or ways that the setting shapes Esperanza's character.
And Leonard, read that second one for me.
Two topic sentences that specifically explain how the setting shapes those two areas of Esperanza's character.
So, when we are doing our thesis statement, a lot of us did that already, we have to identify our two areas or ways that the setting shapes Esperanza's character. Now, what we are currently doing right now is we're just describing her setting, but we're not actually naming an area or a way. So that's what we're gonna do today. And then with our topic sentences, when we're actually getting into our body paragraphs, when we do the evidence and explaining things, that is where we actually need to get to the explanation. So we're gonna look at it. First, before we even get into our thesis, we need to understand what the word shape means. Jakaya and Jerome, sit up. So, take about 5-10 seconds. Think about the word shape from our question. And what is another word we can use for shape? So silently think about it. What else can we say instead of shape in that question? And then we're gonna do a quick round robin with our table. I'm gonna give us 1 minute. Each person at your table is gonna share a different word for what we can use shape instead of. So 1 minute. We're gonna be starting with the person closest to the window and the back corner. So if that is you, raise your hand. Ariana knows. Good. All right, 1 minute and begin. Another word for shape. Not she was first. She goes first. Oh, what's another word we can use instead of word for shape? Why is it shape? Another word we can use instead of shape.
Trying to come back again.
That's a good one.
Another word for shape is
Wrong shape. What about like it's like shaped like a verb when it says how we get shape. What about
Go.
So
Clap. Alright, so I heard a couple of good ones. So, Jamia, what is one word? You heard about the wrong thing. is a good one. How was her character impacted by the setting? I saw one more hand. Which one?
Build.
Say again?
Build.
Build, how was her character built or build? I heard somebody say change, you said that. Change is also a good one. How was her character changed by that? So now we have an understanding of what the word shape means. We don't want the word shape to throw us off. So it can be an effect, impacted, built, or change. What is happening that's different to her character? Now, we're going to be looking at how does our shape, how does the setting,
No, how does shape
How
impact,
does-
like the concept of shaping or impacting?
say that again?
How does the concept of shaping or impacting something work? Go to the next slide.
Okay. So, our question is asking how our setting is shaping Esperanza's character. So we need to figure out how that's going to happen, how is that going to work. So we're going to do a little activity.
Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide.
Okay.
It's a process.
Okay. We're gonna go through a little activity, because it is a process. And, well, before the activity, this is how it works. So first, something has to happen. We're thinking about Esperanza. She moved to a new house. She made friends. So a lot of different things are happening in her life. And then when we go from that, she's gonna feel or think something. I know a lot of us, when we're thinking of her house, we're like, oh, she's embarrassed by her house. That's something that she's feeling. And then we have a change. Because of what is happening, either her feelings are being changed, so they may go from happy to disappointed. Her perspective is being changed, so she's looking at something differently than the way it was the first time. Or her actions are changing. She's doing something differently than what she would have done before that. A good example, when we were watching our movie Freedom Riders, we saw in the beginning how many of the students had a very rough life. And their main focus was survival. So because of that, because of how rough their life was and their focus was only on survival, because their life was so rough in the beginning and their priorities were on surviving, they did not focus on school. So because they were not focusing on schools, the teachers also didn't pay that much attention to them either. So since the teachers weren't paying attention to them, they developed an attitude where they did not care about school. They felt like that was not something that was important for their life because, one, nobody else made it importance, but also they had other pressing issues. They had to try to survive. Many of them were in gangs, many of them were poor. Their setting was affecting the way they looked at education. So we're gonna look at that same situation, the way I explained it and broke it down with Esperanza. Move on. So what you are going to do is you're gonna take about 30 seconds and you're gonna think of a situation just like mine, whether it's something personal, whether it's a show or movie that you watched, where the character was being affected by their setting. Something happened to them, which changed their feelings, perspective, or their actions. So just like I gave an example, you're gonna think of an example. About 30 seconds. Give an example silently. Which question? Not in my glasses. Alright, I'm gonna give, let's say 3 minutes, which might be too much. But you're gonna have 3 minutes where again, we're gonna do a quick round robin and each person at the table is going to share their scenario or situation. When I call out switch, the next person should begin sharing their scenario. This time we're gonna start with the person closest to the board and closest to the door. So if you are that person, raise your hand. Is ready, Andrew's ready, Felicia's ready, Royal's ready, Joseph is. All right, you've got 3 minutes, start with that person. Next person, switch. You got 5 seconds. 5, 4. Next person, switch. And you have not done yet. I heard some good examples, so we're going to take it a step further. And we're going to think about it in terms of Esperanza. Same situation, but now we're going to be more specific to our book. So, what we are going to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, each group is going to have a specific area or way that Esperanza's character was changed. You're going to have a specific vignette that you're going to look back for your evidence. And then we are answering these 3 questions that are on the board. So question 1, you have to tell me what happens. Question 2, how does Esperanza feel based on what happened? And then how does she change? So just like when we told our stories about how this happened and then this changed their feelings and now they're doing this, you're doing the same thing but with Esperanza. So I'm going to drop off your posters and I'll tell you your vignette. So y'all are going to be using my name, so find my name in the book. Y'all's vignette is going to be the house on Main Street. So where did it begin? Y'all's story is going to be Our Good Day. So find Our Good Day. No, you're writing. Your story is. Relationships. Your story is going to be boys and girls. So find So, you have your poster. Whoever's reading, wait for a second. Okay, pause for a second. You have your poster, and you have your area. And then you have your vignette as well. If you can't find it, you go to your table of contents at the very front. It'll tell you the vignette names and the page number. What you are going to do, you're going to skim through it, read through it fairly quickly, and you're going to answer these questions on your poster. So make sure you write big enough that it's easy for somebody to read, but also so that you have enough room to answer all 3. What's happening in the vignette? How does Esperanza feel? And what is being changed about her based on what happens? You got a question?
I reach for like perspective for action, and then so like.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to write full out sentences because I'm only giving you 10 minutes, so you can do bullet points if you work if that works. But it has to be obvious what your answers are. That needs to be clear. Any other questions? You got 10 minutes. At a level 1 with your group, and begin. No, use pencil, because you got it already. So what we got already? Skim through the story first. But keep in mind, so skim through the story, what story did I give you? I want to do two. Yep, so go to the story. There's first. Worried about pencil, right? Alright, that means you got it. Bro, because I'm trying to nobody wanted to be on somebody. That's how I got that's too many details. She had a girl who was her best friend, Esperanza, used to play. Everyone had friends. So she feels lonely. Right.
All right, so all right.